Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, back again with another episode, y'all. In this episode, I'm going to be reading a letter from a young lady named Lisa from Georgia. She is a formerly incarcerated person. She wrote me a letter talking about her experiences and how she and why she thinks she was influenced to do what she did and how she was actually influenced by the media. This perspective, I must admit, isn't a new one to me, but it surprised me how she was able to uh, articulate to me in a way that hadn't been done before her point. I've always believed that some of the things that we hear in our music and see on TV influence our behavior in some way, shape, or form, but she goes into a little bit more detail about how it influenced her. And I hope that, and this is just not for young girls, young women, or anybody, any female in general, this is for men as well. I hope that you really listen to what she has to say, and if you have to, listen to it again, because the messages that she's trying to get out there are that, we can be influenced by the images that we see and hear on TV and in our music and on social media. And she's just wanting to, throw that out there as a cautionary tale about her life so that maybe, you can avoid the same pitfalls that she fell into. So with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As I sit down to reflect on my life and the events that led to my criminal behavior, I cannot help but think about the role that the media played in shaping my worldview. The images and messages that I saw in the media as a child and a young adult had a profound impact on my thoughts and behaviors. And I believe that they played a significant role in leading me down a path of crime and sex work. Growing up, I was exposed to an overwhelming amount of violent and sexualized imagery in the media. Television shows and movies often portrayed criminals as cool and edgy individuals, and women were frequently objectified and reduced to nothing more than their physical appearance. As a young girl, I was taught that my worth was based on my looks, and I internalized these messages, even as I knew that they were harmful and untrue. As I got older, I found myself drawn to a life of crime and sex work. I struggled to make ends meet and support myself, and I turned to criminal behavior as a way to survive. It started with small things like shoplifting and petty theft, but it quickly escalated to more serious crimes. As a woman who has been incarcerated, I often reflect on the events that led to my criminal behavior. While there were undoubtedly many factors that contributed to my actions, I can no longer deny the significant impact that the media had on my life. I was constantly bombarded, like most women are, with images of violence, crime, and sex in the media. Television shows and movies often portrayed criminals, as I've said before, as cool and edgy and glamorous individuals. I remember watching shows like Breaking Bad and The Sopranos and feeling a strange sense of admiration for the main characters, despite the fact that they were committing terrible crimes. At the same time, I was also exposed to an overwhelming amount of sexualized imagery in the media, from music videos to advertisement. Women were often objectified and reduced to nothing more than their bodies. As a young girl, I was taught that my worth was based on my physical appearance, and I was constantly comparing myself to the images I saw in the media. As I got older, I began to realize that the world depicted in the media was not reflective of reality. However, by that point, the damage had already been done. I had internalized the messages that I had been fed, and I found myself drawn to a life of crime and sex. At first, I tried to resist these impulses. I knew that the life of a criminal was not a glamorous one, and I didn't want to end up in jail. But as I struggled to make ends meet and support myself, I found myself turning to crime as a way to survive. It started with small things, like I said, like shoplifting and petty theft. But as time went on, I became more and more involved in the criminal world. I started dealing drugs and committing serious crimes, all while working as a sex worker to make ends meet. The men that I met, the people that convinced me, in addition to what the media had done to me, that selling my body was a way to make ends meet, was wrong. I understand now that I am worth more than that. Looking back, I realized that the media played a significant role in my criminal behavior. It taught me that criminals were cool and sexy, and it convinced me that my worth was based on my physical appearance, as I've said before. And it was so tricky because I internalized those messages and acted on them, even when I knew that what I was doing was wrong. Of course, I don't blame the media entirely for my actions. I made my own choices, and I take full responsibility for the consequences of those choices. However, I do believe that the media played a significant role in shaping my worldview and influencing my behavior. Now that I'm out of prison and trying to rebuild my life, I am much more critical of the media that I consume. I try to be mindful of the messages that I am receiving and to question the underlying assumptions behind the images and stories that I see. I want to make sure that I am not inadvertently internalizing harmful messages and perpetuating harmful stereotypes. I also try to share my story with others in the hopes that it will help them to be more critical of the media that they consume. I want people to understand that the world depicted in the media is not always reflective of the reality, and that the messages we receive can have a profound impact on our thoughts. I have learned that the media can be a powerful tool for change, but it can also be a dangerous one if we are not careful. It is up to us as individuals to be mindful of the messages that we consume and to question the underlying assumptions behind them. As I move forward with my life, I'm committed to using my experience to help others. I want to be a voice for those who have been silenced and to raise awareness about the harmful impact that the media can have on our thoughts and behavior. I know that I cannot change the past, but I can work to create a better future. I am committed to being part of the solution and to using my experiences to help others avoid the mistakes that I made. In the end, I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned and for the opportunity to use my experiences to make a positive difference in the world. I hope that my story can serve as a cautionary tale for others and that it can inspire people to be more critical of the media that they consume. Together, we can create a world where harmful messages are challenged and where we are empowered to make our own choices based on our own values and beliefs. I want to thank Lisa for having the courage to say those things. That's not easy. That wasn't easy for me to read because I was visualizing it while I was reading that what my sister, both my sisters, my nieces have probably experienced. What all women have experienced. When you're young and you're watching those images, and my girlfriend as well, when you're young and you're watching those images of women being objectified, and let me explain what I mean when I say objectified. Being treated as if they are an object to be used by a man in most cases for sex, to make money, not recognizing their humanity. Much like what people go through in prison every day. They have to deal with that every time they turn around, every time they look at television, every time they look at social media, every time they listen to a song. You're hearing people talk about how what they have, their bodies, can get them what they want if they use it the right way, and these people are held up as role models. Not to say that people should be proud of their bodies. I believe that we all should be proud of our bodies. But if we're using our bodies in a way that is harmful to ourselves and can be harmful to others, we might want to question our motives, our intentions, and what it is that we're trying to accomplish by doing that. We should be questioning those things. And we should be more mindful that this doesn't happen to women, it happens to men as well. The messages that we receive through all of our media outlets, whether it be television, social media, or music, or radio, we should be careful about the images that we see and the messages that we hear, because they do influence our behavior. We know this to be true, and we should be more mindful of that. And when we're talking about young kids who we know their minds are not fully developed until around the age of 25, why are we allowing them to consume this music, these images, without explaining to them before these messages become internalized? Because once they become internalized, you can tell them that they're wrong. They can believe that they're wrong, but they're going to see what these images that are being portrayed in front of them and what these lyrics and this music is saying. They're going to see a result on the other end of that appears to be good. You shake your tail, you get money. You get money, you can buy the things that you want. Once that message is internalized, then how hard is it going to be for us to convince them that you don't have to get it that way? When you hear messages in music that say, sell drugs, sell your body, rob, steal, use drugs, all of these types of things, when you hear these messages of saying that and it becomes internalized by these young kids, it's going to be hard for us to convince them that it's not true. You don't have to do it this way. This is not the right way. So we have to explain to them the power that the media has. We have to explain to them how all of these things influence and impact their lives. And if you don't understand that yourself, you need to be asking somebody. So I want to thank Lisa for hitting me up, letting me know how she's been influenced and what her life is like. I'm sure that when the day comes and she has kids or she's around her nieces and nephews, she will be one of those people that explain that. But let me know what you think about this, y'all. I want to know if you believe that the media, meaning TV, social media, and radio, can influence you. And if it has influenced you, share your story with me in the comment sections on YouTube, or hit me up at my Gmail, doingtimewithjoe@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate you. And as I always say, this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.